Not sure how to handle when your dog is in heat? Don't worry, I got you. Stephen Jacob with Strong Dogs USA. So, as you all know or didn't know, if you're new to this channel, first of all, welcome. But if you don't know, I recently got Aria spayed, so she is completely done and fixed and healed. So earlier in the year and late last year, I think it was December 16th when she first bled, and she was in heat all the way up. Leading up to that, I'm going to go ahead and just give you the whole story because it was kind of an interesting case. Something about me, I get interesting cases with female dogs. First, Ava was completely irregular, so we had to get her fixed ahead of time, and then now I felt like I was getting Aria fixed ahead of time for other reasons. I'll go ahead and get into it right now. So December 16th, she bled. And then a few weeks before that, when I was still training her over at Ed's, we were doing protection. It was like, when is this going to happen? Because it's getting up there in time. Like, she's almost 1 year old. February 2nd was, her 1 year birthday. So I'm like, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? I'm like, this is taking forever. Up until then, I started noticing a little behavior problems, not problems, but just irregularities, where she was very clingy, a little bit more separation anxiety, wasn't eating as fast. And then finally, I think I went away on a little mini vacation, and then I came back and I could smell it. I could smell something was about to happen. And then within a day or two after that, sure enough, she bled. And then from there, for next 2 weeks, it is what it is. Now, I did not put her in diapers or any of that nonsense like a lot of people do. If you do it, fine. If you think it's better for them, cool. If it keeps your house cleanlier, cool. No judgment. Whatever works best for you. I just know my dog so well that if I put Aria in a diaper, she's going to tear right through that shit. So I did not want to spend money on something that was completely nonsense and irrelevant, because it's going to do nothing. I'm going to be gone away, and if she's at home and in the crate, she's going to tear through it. Guaranteed it. So I didn't even bother with it. And I'm not a weak stomach person. I do not care about blood in any shape, way, or form. So her, bleeding on the floors here, it's fake wood, so I didn't care. I could just clean it up in 2 seconds. So that's just my personal preference with it all. If you feel like you need to get a diaper because of the sight of blood, or you don't want your dog to stain anything, I totally get it. The weird thing with Aria, though, is when I'd still let her on the couch every now and then, she never bled once on the couch. It was the weirdest thing. It was literally the weirdest thing. She would never bleed on the couch. I could see it on the floor. I could see if it was a dry spot or a little bit here and there, it was always on the floor, but never on the couch. I couldn't understand it, but cool, bravo to her. She was a rock star like that. Did also notice the other dogs in the community and her. Naturally, she thought she was the town pump. She wanted to get with every other dog you could imagine. And I had to keep them at a distance because maybe it's just me, but I always get that person saying, oh, let our dogs meet. I'm like, no. That's like saying, let me go meet your wife and have fun with her at your place. It's like, no, our dogs don't need to meet. They don't need to have fun together. So I would just tell them, keep your dog away because she's in heat. And if anyone understands that, anyone who's had dogs, for any amount of time, they will understand that and respect that. So I had to keep them away because she did get a little overzealous with a few dogs. She didn't attack them or she didn't bark at them or anything like that, but she wanted to show that interest, like dogs do. And I didn't want to put the other person's dog in that position or get them riled up as well. So it wasn't fair to either party. So I just kind of have to keep my distance, but she was all over the smells too, to the point where it's like she wanted to pull and zigzag, and I really dialed in on the discipline and how we did our walks, because after a while that shit gets annoying. Now she was in this, and I saw other symptoms she was in the heat for probably about 2 to 3 weeks, like normal. But there were other symptoms that I had to see and dealt with. For instance, her nipples were always kind of inflamed a little bit. Her vajayjay was discolored for a while. And those behavior patterns of her being kind of clingy and a separation anxiety. And I noticed the food wasn't being chowed down with the same amount of speed as it normally is. And then after like a month and a half, almost going on 2 months, this was maybe the bogey on my end, but I waited and waited because I'm like looking at the watch, looking at the calendar of when it started and where it's at. I'm like, all right, finally enough's enough. Nothing is changing. Nothing's going back to normal. Let me take her to the vet. Take her to the vet, and this is where I was informed and educated on how dogs can have these quiet heats, meaning they have a quiet one, they go through a heat, they have the same symptoms. The only difference is they do not bleed outright, so there's no external blood anywhere, but the same hormonal process does happen. And then they have their actual full-on one where there's external blood and everything else. Because of the way dogs are designed and built, this occasionally happens where her symptoms, all those things I listed prior, came off as a false pregnancy. So her body is not in heat, but part of it is still signaling her body saying you're pregnant, when in fact she is not. So after a while, a few more weeks, I had to make the decision, like, if her behavior patterns stay the same, let's go in and just get her fixed, because I had no intention on breeding her, so I'll go ahead and just get her fixed, or wait it out and see how it is, and then I can decide later down the road. Clearly, I noticed enough with the behaviors, and this was after all that cold spell. If you're in Florida or anywhere, you know the cold spell that I'm talking about. So we went through that, but then the heat started coming, so I'm like, she's drinking a little bit more water than usual, but her speed of which, her obedience is and of how much she eats is slowing down. And then finally I'm like, you know what, I was gonna get her spayed anyway, so what's the difference? I might as well just do it and get it done. So I got it done, and that's when I found out she did have a cyst on her ovary, which implied she did have a false pregnancy. So on top of that, I had that going for us. So then after the spade, it was in a cone. She was drunk for a couple of days, and then it was just making sure that she didn't mess with her stitches. And then near the tail end of her and her stitches, she ended up tearing them out, whether it was her tearing them out or when her and the Rottweiler, were horsing around, they came out. Who knows? But doctor's like, yeah, no, she's healed. It's not infected. Give it a couple of days and then you can go full throttle again. But no cost because she got the stitches out herself. Yay. So, but actually dealing with the dog in heat, yes, you're dealing with the hormones and everything else. So I did not take her out to EDS. I didn't take her out to bite train because, again, I did not want to throw the other dogs off. I don't want to get them stir crazy when everyone is feral, and next thing you know, it's like, ooh, everyone's jonesing and wanting a piece of her versus what their main objective is at training, which is to be productive of whatever they're trying to accomplish at the time. So, but overall, I would always just suggest to people, know what you're getting into when you get a female. They're going to be a little bit bitchier. You're going to have to deal with the heat. If you don't want to, don't get a female. Or get one that's already fixed. But there's going to be blood, and if you want to, you can put the diapers on. I didn't. I just don't care. I've never had an issue with blood from any source. So there was that, and then it was just making sure I was respectful and making sure she was away from other dogs, and other dogs didn't get to her. There was only one incident where there was a close call, and I just had to just put my foot in the middle of them and just keep walking. So that wasn't, oops, but there was no humpage of any sort, so dodged a bullet there. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple in my mind to deal with a dog in heat. There's not much if you've dealt with it. Cool. Just understand just managing dogs when you're together, and then just managing time with, you know, if something needs to go out, how are you going to manage it? Are you going to just clean it up, or do you want to go ahead and put the diaper on? Totally your call. I'm not even going to make my suggestion. I told you mine, how I did it. I just don't care, and I didn't see the value of spending money on something she was going to tear apart anyway. If your dog is cool and doesn't tear stuff up if they're at home or in the crate, then maybe it's advantageous for you. But other than that, Aria's heat was pretty straightforward. I did not expect her, after going to the vet, it made sense why she had the false pregnancy. She had the cyst on her ovary, but she is getting back to normal. And I even noticed this past couple of weeks when I do leave her, she is not barking in the crate like she was before all this. So I'm guessing the separation anxiety has calmed down and she's doing better. But now I'm just dealing with a new flush of hormones because she's over 1, and now that Mally, that 15-year-old girl, is really coming out and want to see what, and she wants to flex on me. She wants to see what she's made out of and what she's getting away with. So that may be the new video after this one, which would be dealing with a 1-year-old Malinois versus, say, like a 6-month-old Malinois, because in my opinion, they were totally separate entities. So stay tuned. If you like these videos, please support the channel, like, subscribe, share it, and follow me on all the other pages as well. And if you like all the training videos, complete breakdowns over on the website, somewhere in the description below. And I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.